Hello my friends, and welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. Today I am making a card for the Fall and Winter Coffee Lovers blog hop, and Trinity Stamps just happens to be sponsoring it, so of course we're going to be using some Trinity Stamps products. Right here I have the Frappy Camper Stamps and Dies, and is this not adorable? I mean, y'all know I love me some camping, and so when I saw that it had the camper on there, it was a must. So there's the matching dies. We're going to be using that. I actually have quite a few products we're going to be pairing up. This is the A Latte Love stamp set. I want some of the sentiments from here. And then I'm just going to use a few of the elements from the Winter Burrow stamps and dies. This is brand new. And it's actually a coordinating die and stamp for another set, but the little elements in here are just perfect for what I want to do on my card, so I just grabbed that one as well. I'm going to be using the little picket fence here. This one is the Great Outdoors Borders and Builders, and I'm just using a little picket fence that I die cut. We're also going to be using the Scenic Slimline Borders and the Wonky Stitched Wilderness dies, and we're going to use those with the Winter Hues 9x4 paper. So I paired those up, and I cut out the Winter Hues paper, and then I also did it on some white paper and then used that little Scenic Slimline border to cut out like a little snowbank. So there are those two pieces that we've got all set and ready to go. To save a little time, I went ahead and stamped out all of my images. I'm using some Express It cardstock, and I stamped those images out using some Memento Tuxedo black ink because we're going to be doing some alcohol marker coloring. And it's super simple alcohol marker coloring. I will do my best to put the colors up on the screen. I did want to show you that I altered my images a very tiny bit. They're going to be outside and it's supposed to be cold, so I'm just adding little cuffs so it looks like they're wearing a long sleeve shirt underneath their short sleeve shirt. And then we'll just continue on with the coloring. But the pen that I used was a Copic multi-liner because that is alcohol marker friendly, and so it won't bleed out or anything like that when you get the alcohol marker on it. Using different colors for their skin tones, we have E25 for her, and then we're going to bring in some E27. And then for her hair and his hair, we're bringing in E49. It's going to be nice and dark. You'll notice that I stamped out some little hats. I stamped out some scarves. They just happen to work really well. And those ones came from that Winter Burrows stamp set. I just thought, yeah, we're going to make this stamp set work for other seasons as well. We've got B37 for their jeans. And we'll come in with some B39 just for a darker tone. As I've said before, these are smaller images, so you wouldn't have to go too crazy with shadowing or shading if you didn't want to, just as much as you're comfortable with. But I only did 2 color blends just to save myself a little bit of time. His shirt will be YR14, and then I'll come in with some YR18. And then I'm actually going to use that same YR18 for our little barista's hair. And then we'll bring in a green, and that's the YG67. We're going to use that green again later. And then for her shirt, we're using some R35. I've got that R35, and that's going to be the color of our hat. And yeah, that's Max poking his little ears in. He sat there for a little while watching me color. Very sweet. And then we're going to do some pinks for her hat. So we're using RV55 and RV17. And we'll also use those same colors on the scarves here in a second after we finish up there. But I did want to show you the coloring of one of the trees. They're all going to be the exact same, but I'll show you just how I do one of them. I'm starting with that YG67, and I'm just putting a base down all over, and then we're going to come in with some G28 for our shadowing and shading underneath some of the, what are those, sprigs, branches, underneath the branches of the tree. And then I'll come in with that YG67 again and just blend that out just a little bit, not a whole lot. For the trunk of our tree, we have some E25, and we also have some E27. And then, as I said before, we're going to match up those scarves with the colors of the hats that we did just a little bit ago. And I actually was quite pleasantly surprised with how well these matched up with our little characters. So it's always fun when you have stamps that you can combine and make whole different scenes than what they were even intended for. Finishing up some of our coloring, super simple. Now we're going to do the outside of our little sign. I think it's so fun that there are so many little elements in this Frappy Camper stamp set. I mean, you could just have a heyday making such cute little scenes with this. I'm using the same reds that I did earlier for the accent on our camper. And I am going to go ahead and leave the grass there. I'm not going to color it. I'm going to leave it white because sometimes you end up with snow on grass and it just stays the same shape as grass as long as it's not real thick. And so I'm just going to leave it white. That was intentional. I did use 3 shades on that stripe on the camper, and I'm using the 2 darker shades on the awning. And then we'll just use that darkest color, which was the R59 on the border of our window. And then we'll move on to our tire, which brings me to a question. If you guys actually celebrate Christmas, do you go and get a real tree or do you have an artificial one? We actually have artificial. I've always wanted to do the real, but I just guess I'm not brave enough, to be honest with you. And the mess, I'm not, ugh. Yeah, I know they drop needles. I remember as a kid we would get some real ones from time to time, and then we got the artificial, and that was that. All right, I'm going to match up all the matching dies for all these pieces, tape them down with a little bit of washi tape, and I'm going to run that through my little tiny die cutting machine. This was, doing the die cutting is kind of therapeutic for me. And so I'm, like I said, just running all those through. It's going to take a few passes because I have quite a few trees. And so I've got some music and I'm jamming out, and we're just going to do that. And then we're going to start actually doing some assembly. So this piece was the rectangle when it cut out the window from the motorhome or the trailer. And so I'm just coloring that with a W7, and then I'm going to tape it back in place using a little bit of washi tape. And that way we have a background. We have, like, darker border in the background, which is nice. And now we're ready to assemble all of our pieces. So I'm going to glue down my little snow bank. We're just going to glue that in place. I like how that has the little wonky border so that everything matches. Matchy, real nice there. And then we'll start putting the scene together, which is always my favorite part, just kind of seeing things come together. I love how the little barista is sticking out of the window. She looks so cute, ready to serve you. And then we've got like a little tray of cookies or goodies that'll be on one side of her, and then a stack of cups on the other side. But I love how this set has so many fun little elements that you can add, and you've got this cute little scene. Here's where I'm going to start putting the little hat on the girl, and we're going to put her scarf on. And at first I was like, oh no, it's too big, but I actually really like it because when I wear a scarf it's usually pretty bulky, and so I think it looks kind of cute on her. And then we'll put her little coffee in her hand. Could be hot cocoa, chances are it's coffee. And then we'll do the same thing for our little guy. They are going to go pick out a tree after they have gotten some coffee. I love the idea of going and getting, go get a coffee, then you can go pick out a tree. What a fun little process that would be. But I thought it would be fun. We're at a tree farm. So he's holding his coffee too. I'm going to put some foam tape behind the awning, and then we'll peel off the release paper on that. That'll give it a little bit of dimension so it looks like she's kind of behind the awning, or that the awning is covering and it sticks out, which is really cute. Love that thought. And then now we'll start gluing down some of our trees. This tree is going to stick off the edge a little bit. I like doing that because it does give the illusion that there's more going on outside of the card. That's always just fun, makes, continuation of a scene. And then we're going to put these 3 down. And then once I get those down, that's where the fence comes in, the little picket fence, which is so cute because it'll make it look like those trees are behind their little fence. You can go in there, you can pick out your tree, and how fun is that? So we've got the start of a very fun little scene here. And actually the longest part, or the biggest process for this, was just the coloring. And I don't mind coloring, I don't even mind if it takes a long time because I enjoy coloring, obviously. So I can sit in front of a TV and do it. I don't care if I've got a bunch of images stamped out. I'm having a good time. And now it's really starting to come together. I'll put the little sign out. And, that tree looks like it's kind of in the background, which is great. And then we'll put our little people down. They're just got their coffee and they're going to head over to the trees. So cute. And I just can't get over how I was able to combine the sets. Just love that. And then now it's time for a sentiment. So I have grabbed out a couple of sentiments from that A Latte Love, and it says sending warm wishes. I'm taking a risk here, stamping it directly onto my card panel, but I figure if I don't like it, I'll just cover it up with paper. which I have done before. I'm going to ink that up with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is just a very crisp black ink. It didn't work perfectly, so I'm going to stamp it again. And that worked great. So I'm happy with that. We're ready to move on to the base, which I had cut down to 7 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm now scoring it at 3.5 inches. And then just kind of using my Teflon folder from Trinity stamps. Now Miles has come in to see and inspect, my little quality control buddy. He's here. And now I'll just use some of that liquid glue to adhere everything down. You could use foam tape if you wanted to, but I'm trying to make this as mailer friendly as possible. And then that's going to get the outside all ready to go. Now we have to do a little bit on the inside. I had 4 trees left over. I only end up using 3. And so I'll just glue those down, and that will give that continuation of the tree farm on the inside, and I have plenty of room to write to my recipient. And then we'll take the leftover of our tree, or our picket fence border that we had left over, and we'll just glue that down over the top of those trees as well. You could add some embellishments if you wanted to, but I stopped here. And that's going to finish off our card. Like I said, there is a Coffee Lovers blog hop going on. I'm going to have a link to the Coffee Lovers blog down below so that you can head there and check it all out. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I did want to say how much I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for your liking, your commenting, your subscribing, using my affiliate links. All that stuff really does help me out. I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. I love you, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.